Oh, I need to go to YouTube comments.
You do, just in case anyone comments. Hello, YouTube. I'm sick, so I'm just getting things set up, and then I'm leaving.
I see Wesley has learned how to climb out of his crib.
Oh, he basically never actually slept in his crib. So
that's awesome.
Live now. Look at that.
We're live. Okay, I will turn off my microphone now and leave you guys to it. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Okay, bye.
Goodbye. Sleep well.
Thank you.
Feel better.
Thanks.
Did she go?
Theoretically.
All right, let's do this.
Okay, let's go.
All right, wait.
I'm a happy seal again.
All right. Hello and welcome to Cat Context, episode 108 for the week of January 23rd, 2017. I don't know why.
Seriously, October. Seriously.
Well, Liore can join us just for that little bit. She is sick today, so she will not be joining us, but I am joined by Arrow today, and we are going to be talking about Nazi punching games due to recent Nazi punching
games. Yeah.
So, hey, Arrow, how are you doing?
I was great until you made me snort beer out my nose by telling me it was October. Let's go back to October. That was pretty good. Everyone was still pretty hopeful in October.
I know. I feel like I did an episode in around October 20th, and maybe that's what made me think of October. Otherwise, I have literally no idea.
3 months of muscle memory reading. That's great.
Yeah, it's like 4 now, isn't it? It's a lot of days.
I don't know. It's been a long time. It was a long ass year.
It was indeed. So how has your weekend been going?
My weekend is great. My youngest had pneumonia last week, but now she is better. Yeah, it was bacterial pneumonia, which is the kind that you don't have to go to the hospital for, but you can give it to everyone else in the house.
Did you guys avoid it?
We did, because she was quarantined in her room with an iPad. You're absolutely not allowed to talk to your sister.
I had pneumonia when I was 10-ish, and I definitely was holed up for 2 weeks or something.
Yeah, it was a pretty challenging week, but now everything is better.
Well, that's good. I'm glad to hear it. Cool. My weekend was less interesting.
I hope so.
Well, it wasn't totally. We went to a cool children's museum in San Jose.
Nice.
And we dodged all of the protest marching crowds, which I'm unfortunately not participate in, but did make it down there afterwards. And then today I did some deconstruction in my garage, so now there's a gigantic pile of debris where stuff used to be. So I don't know. It's been an interesting weekend too. So
it has been a super interesting week.
Yeah. So I don't know. In light of that, we got to all see a Nazi get punched in the face. And
yes, I would just like to, before we get going, reiterate a thing that I saw on Twitter, which is, where do you draw the line when it's okay to hit someone that you disagree with? And I am here to tell you that line is when they're a fucking Nazi. I mean, I think that's pretty straightforward, really. That's, violence is never the answer unless it's a Nazi. And so I think there's also, there's a long, vast, storied history of Nazis being the villains in various forms of pop culture and media. And I'm tired of zombies. Zombies have been the go-to in video games for a while. And I think we need to go back to Nazis, because Nazis are always a good villain. Always. There's never going to be a time when that ages poorly and you think, oh no, that's maybe we should. No, always. Always Nazis. Always.
Always. Yeah, it's hard to disagree with that. There's a few lines in the world, and that's one that I'm mostly willing to cross. That yes. I have. I don't like to give voice to people that are terrible, allowing themselves to try and make themselves look like victims.
Yeah.
That's the most problematic part of it to me. but like you said,
right.
Nazis are Nazis,
and also, I mean, yeah, it sucks that like the Nazis can say, "Oh, look, here's someone punching us in the face for being Nazis." Oh no, but it doesn't matter because they're like propaganda masters anyway. That's kind of part and parcel of being a zombie. Like when you get a write-up in what's supposed to be an incredibly left-leaning magazine about your fashion sense, there's nothing that you can do to help them with their PR. Like, if they're going to abuse that anyway, you might as well get something out of it. And by something, I mean fucking punch them in the fucking face.
Yeah. So it turns out that that we agree. I might even say we violently agree.
I think so, yeah. I know I'm preaching to the choir, and you know, honestly, there could be some people who disagree with us, and those people, if they're listening to this podcast, they might get upset, and I will tell you, don't listen anymore, ever again, because there's another line there for me, and that's I'm not willing to have people in my life who don't think it's okay to punch a Nazi in the face. I think it's pretty straightforward. You know, here's a Nazi, here's your fist, and you punch them. It's really. So speaking of punching Nazis in the face,
I was trying to figure out how we get out of
right, how we segue into this, and that is one of my. Everyone knows about Wolfenstein anyway, which basically made the shooter genre a big deal.
Yeah.
Where the whole point of Wolfenstein is you're shooting zombies. You're shooting, you know, there are zombie Nazis and robo-Nazis and mecha Hitler and Gatling gun arms, and you shoot them and you punch them. But one thing that a lot of people don't know is that Bionic Commando, which I played like in the arcade some when I was a kid. I think there was a Konami cabinet, and it was on NES. It's the same kind of style as Contra, where it's a platformer and everything, and you're fighting zombies. But for the US release, they like took out the swastikas and stuff, and they exchanged it for eagles, and like they pretended it wasn't Nazis. And then, but the final boss at the end, I mean, that's Hitler. It's obviously Hitler. And you shoot him in the face with a giant gun and he explodes. And it's incredibly viscerally satisfying because Nazis are always bad.
Yeah, so I did a little bit of reading on games where you get to fight Nazis. And like you said, Wolfenstein is that whole series is the sort of hallmark, obvious one. But then I saw the Bionic Commando, and I did not realize that, probably because I almost certainly never got to the end, or did when I was at an age where like it's just some guy on the screen or whatever. But apparently the name originally had Hitler in it. So then they decided
Hitler punching.
they decided it might not sell as well if they called it that. So
well, I think in Germany you're not actually allowed to release anything with Nazi like accoutrement.
That's right, and actually a lot of books. There was a really interesting podcast I listened to, and I don't remember if it was like 99% Invisible or Radio Lab as one of the sort of big ones that everybody listens to, about the special rooms where they keep the like few copies of Mein Kampf that are allowed to be had in Germany.
Right.
And the whole design of them. And it was very, very interesting because it's basically anybody can go read it, and they don't want to destroy them all completely, but you kind of have to have an academic reason, and then you just go to the librarian and you tell them the academic reason, and then they let you go in and you can
right. It. It's the Hall of Dangerous Books in Harry Potter.
It really is. It really is. And they had, a long, sweet German sounding or German word for it.
That's because German has a word for everything.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure the entire German language is just one long compound word.
Long word, yeah.
And you just remove pieces.
So I don't know. That was really interesting, and I know how we feel about it here. I assume that German people have totally different views because it's different, right? It's part of their history that they don't want to talk about, or kind of don't want to acknowledge, but also very much do. And
yeah, I have never been to Germany. The closest I've come is there was my best friend hosted a German exchange student when we were in high school, and he thought it was interesting that, and this is even in Ohio, he said when they teach, 20th century history in Germany, they say they frame it as all people were complicit, and it wasn't just these people following orders. All Germans were complicit. That's how this was built, and that's right. And he thought it was more interesting that in this Ohio suburban high school, they talked mostly about specific individuals, like Goebbels and Goering and Hitler, rather than the culture around it.
Yeah, I mean, I think some of that may be the American individualism, exceptionalism trait, or whatever it is, all coming through and showing itself in that. Probably also because it's not us. I mean, even when we talk about slavery, tends to be there's slavers and non-slavers, but we don't ever really talk about the fact that all of the people who founded our country were slave owners, including many of the ones who eventually fought against slavery.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's really interesting culturally, and it's interesting that we sort of allow ourselves, well, allow is the wrong word, but we almost make them cartoon villains rather than. I mean, that's a problem with Mecha Hitler and.
Well, and also, I mean, speaking of punching Nazis in the face, cartoon villains, Bugs Bunny has also punched Nazis in the face. Just throwing that out there.
I mean, many things have punched Nazis in the face.
Yeah.
And if not Nazis specifically, then often, brown-coated troops with German-style hats that aren't actually specifically called Nazis, but are clearly Nazis or
Nazi analogs. Yeah, there are a lot of there are more games that have Nazi analogs as villains than there do like specific Nazis. A vast bulk of specific Nazi villains are things like Battlefield 1942 and Call of Duty and Medal of Honor, all those, and Axis and Allies, military shooters, military strategy games where you are obviously fighting Nazis. You are fighting World War II. And then, and I think that's why there are, fantasy Nazi analogs, because no one wants to think about the fact that there are Nazis now, today.
Well, yeah, I mean, also it's like...
So either you set your game in 1942 Europe, or you have your fantasy Nazi analog.
It's very limiting over, and from a creative perspective, you could argue how creative it is to use Nazis or Nazi analogs.
It's always a good idea. They're always a good one.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's true, and it's true, and there's plenty of like real world reasons why you can make interesting, fantastical games that use Nazis also, because of the real sort of I can't think of the word, but
occult fascination.
Yes, occult is the exact word I was thinking.
That's what you're looking for. You're looking for things like Hellboy, and also Indiana Jones. Not just movies and books. There's a whole series of super great LucasArts point and click adventure games.
Yes.
For Indiana Jones. Then all of them contain Nazis who can be punched as well as shot.
Yeah. So anyway, I think it's an interesting, rich sort of genre. I actually really enjoyed the two latest Wolfenstein games. Well, the latest one.
I have not played the most recent one.
I just realized there was a newest one where there were it's like a prequel to the newest one. It's called The New Order is the sort of, that's the main game, and then there's a prequel called First Blood, or I don't know.
Well, and there was also Spear of Destiny, which was the original prequel to the original. I know there was one, I think it was last year. I haven't played that one yet.
Oh, no, I haven't played that one then.
Or the year before. I don't know. Again, last year.
Yes, there's one from 2015 called The Old Blood, which is a prequel to The New Order. And apparently there are zombies in that, zombie Nazis in that. So,
ooh, nice. Speaking of going ahead and using actual Nazis in your fantasy setting, I highly recommend a game called Dino D-Day.
Oh, really?
Yes. It's terrible, but what's important is they've genetically engineered killer dinosaurs. The Nazis have, by the way. So you have to get your own dinosaurs to fight the Nazi dinosaurs. It's the best.
That sounds amazing. That sounds like a lot like that TV show Dino Riders.
Or Dino Saucers.
What's Dino Saucers?
Oh, Dino Saucers, they were actual sentient from space dinosaurs.
Oh, okay. Or
there was the Tyrannos were the bad guys.
That's funny.
And there was an Archaeopteryx who was she was the lady scientist, and she was married to the Allosaurus hero.
Oh, wow.
No one has ever heard of this show but me.
No, yeah.
This track is in my head all the time.
There's also the Dino version of Transformers, but I don't think there's any Nazis in that.
No, there are no Nazis in Transformers.
Yeah.
And I could actually talk about Grimlock for a really long time, so let's not do that. Because there are no Nazis there, and that's off topic.
That's true. Although the stated topic when Liore sent us notes was using games as escapism.
Yes, and my primary method of escapism right now is punching Nazis.
And I was trying to transition us to a slightly different topic.
I know. I'm sorry. I wanted to also mention Blood Rain, which contains Nazis. Blood Rain has Nazis.
Does it? I don't think I got that far.
At least Blood Rain 2 does. There's also there are action RPGs, Velvet Assassin and The Saboteur. And there's a really nice game version of The Great Escape. I mean, there's a shitty one from 1987, but they made a more recent one, I think 2014, an indie RPG.
Cool. That's good to know. I think we're going to have to publish a list in the show notes of games.
we need to at least talk about Dino D-Day, because
yeah. Maybe we can get a Steam affiliate link or something, and you can get some sweet kickbacks for your Dino D-Day recommendations. Yeah.
Your stated topic about using.
What? I didn't really have a good thing to talk about other than that. I've been finding it difficult to handle all of the things becoming reality that have become and started to become reality.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of people have thrown themselves sort of wholeheartedly into activism and doing stuff, and that's super, super cool, and I applaud them. I'm not there yet, really. And also my life is it's a bad excuse to say that my life is not conducive to picking up and going to rallies and stuff, because it's just a bad excuse, but it's kind of true also. You can't easily take small kids, although plenty of people did.
Yeah.
But
I had the pneumonia excuse, so
yeah, that's a better excuse than mine.
Which is your tiny human gets real cranky around many other people.
Well, yeah, that, and I mean, and other stuff that I actually needed to do this weekend, unfortunately. Yeah. I totally appreciate that, but I think that it is also, I just want to like make a point that it's reasonable for people to like use whatever coping mechanisms like actually help them cope. And
self-care I think is important.
Yeah, and I think to that end, you know, games do offer a lot of really good escape, and you know, as long as you don't throw yourself too heavy, which I think we've all done many times before.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't know. As far as I'm concerned, gaming is cool. I think one of the coolest things about gaming recently is the rise of and the importance of the indie game. I think there's so many cool representative games that have been made in the last, 5 years or more. You know, we've talked about a bunch of them. We've talked about things like Gone Home, and we've talked about things like I don't know. I can't even think of them off my head, but there's
Never Alone is one that I've been playing lately.
Have you?
That's the one with the Inuit girl.
Yeah, I have that.
Inuit or Nunavut? Oh God, I'm terrible. But yeah, it's incredibly beautiful, and
right.
I actually did a thing where my coping mechanism this past couple of weeks has been I installed every game in my Steam library, and I'm going to play, and I'm going down in alphabetical order, and I'm going to play each one at least once and figure out what's garbage, because goddamn, there are so many games in there that I've never heard of. Why do I own these games?
I know. I have the same thing. I think, you know, some of it was the early Humble Bundle days and the early like Steam sales were
right. I'm like, such a sucker for like $2 or less.
Yeah.
Or like the $2 game. I buy it. I buy it. Like, and there's so many of them.
Or the $10 like 20 pack kind of thing is like,
yeah, or the $10 20 pack, or you know, if it says it's like 77% off, whoo, I'd be losing money by not buying this game that I've never heard of and will never play.
So yeah, I think that's super cool. I just like I love the idea that somebody can pick up and create games that tell stories that they want to tell, and that we can go out and find games with female protagonists, less games with people of color, although that's sort of changing occasionally. But it's, you know, I think it's important. I try to actually go out of my way to buy those games and play them because I think it's important to support them. It's obviously not the same kind of activism, but it is trying to put my purchasing dollars towards things that I care about.
As long as we're trapped in capitalism, we might as well make that capitalism.
That's right. So from my perspective, I think that's super cool. I think there's a lot of good coverage of these kinds of games too, which is also really awesome. So I don't really have anything else to say about it. I don't know if you do or want to. No, I didn't really come prepared, and then Liore bailed, and then it's really hard to catch up.
I'm sorry. I was super prepared to talk about punching Nazis, but apparently punching Nazis only lasts for like half an hour.
Well, it's okay. I mean, I think it's reasonable and important and to the point, and you know, just like a good punch to a Nazi's face.
Punching Nazis.
That's right.
And if you have any questions about this, you can go to canipunchnazis.com. Seriously,
is that a real website?
You seriously can.
Do you own that website?
Canipunchnazis.com. No, I do not. I wish I did. I really do.
So we can just call it a quick show. That's fine.
I'm good with that.
I think that
you don't have much to edit.
Yeah. So all right. Well, we'll just call it a quick show. Hopefully, we'll be better, you know, prepared and have a third co-host that doesn't feel like
who doesn't have the plague.
Yeah, and we all feel bad. We did even, in fact, see her on camera briefly, and you guys did not want her to be on this podcast. So
no, you would have contracted the plague over the internet.
I almost did. I had to put a mask on.
It's true.
Yeah. So all right, thanks for joining us, and we will be back in a couple of weeks. We are at, where are we at on Twitter? That Totally Legit Pub on Twitter?
No, it's Cat Context.
We're at Cat Context on Twitter. Liore is at Hey It's Liore, I think still.
That is correct.
Arolaide is at Arolaide. I'm at That Dang Angry Dwarf, but I'm private, so I probably won't follow you back. Turns out.
You're terrible.
Yeah, well, you know, it's one of my New Year's resolutions to try and figure out Twitter and then I started to do it, and it's real weird. So
it takes some practice.
Yeah, and coming to it late, or I've been on Twitter for a long time, but trying to use it again after many years of changes there's like threads and shit that people do, and it makes no sense.
Yeah,
I just like, why don't you write a blog?
Regardless, play Dino D-Day, and also the Indiana Jones LucasArts games are all on Steam.
Yeah, and so are the Wolfenstein games, and so
are the Wolfenstein games. We will all play the new Wolfenstein, maybe, if it's on sale.
I'm tell you whether or not it's going to. The next time it's on sale, I'm totally going to play it.
Definitely.
Cool. Thanks for joining us, and Arrow, thanks for being here, and Liore, I hope you feel better. So we'll talk to you guys in a couple weeks.
Hooray!
All right.
Goodbye.
All right. Hopefully Audacity worked.
Well, looks like Audacity worked for me.
Me too. Sweet.
Hooray! All right.
That's good enough. I'm going to go help with bedtime.
Oh, very exciting. The tragedy of bedtime.
I know. It is tragic. All right. Talk to you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.